heard the expression NIMBYs, not in my backyard. Locals who want the local area just for locals. Well, there's a bunch of NIMBYs in eastern Sydney who want backpackers banned from the iconic Bronte Beach on Christmas Day. And I got to be honest, I don't blame them. Every Christmas, backpackers descend on the iconic beach and completely trash the joint. You can have a look at some of the images on your screen there from Christmas just gone. Garbage ends up being left absolutely everywhere, and of course locals end up paying for the massive cleanup. This has been happening for a number of years now. Last Christmas there were 15,000 mostly overseas backpackers, and it took all night for council staff, who of course are paid for with local rates, to get the beach back to its normal pristine condition. So Waverley Council came to locals last night with a few options. Option one was we just allow this event to continue without any changes. Locals, as you can imagine, weren't happy about that. Option two was, well, we'll pay for extra police and extra toilets in the hope of cleaning it up. Locals didn't want to pay for that. Another option was more security and more transport. Locals rejected that. The fourth option, the final one, was pretty extreme, a 1 kilometre fence right around Bronte Beach and tickets being sold for entry on Christmas Day, and locals rejected that as well. In fact, locals proposed their own solution, and that is shut the entire event down. Now, of course, they can't legally stop anyone from going to the beach, so locals suggested we're willing to pay through our rates for police sniffer dogs. That'll get rid of a whole lot of backpackers. We're willing to pay for bag checking to make sure people don't bring alcohol. And why don't we do a little thing, I think it's called, Caleb, geo-blocking, which would prevent Ubers from getting close to the area and make it difficult for backpackers to access the joint. Now, I suspect you are going to say live and let live, but I reckon if you're a
live and let live,
watching your local beach trashed year after year, you've got the right to say enough.
Yeah, but you don't own the beach. I mean, this is the great thing.
But you live there.
This is, well, oh, great. You live there.
What?
I mean, I live.
Does that mean everyone who gets to live in a beautiful area on public holidays gets to be like the great unwashed, can't visit our park, can't visit our
Come on,
crashing the
come on.
place.
I live in Balmain. Does that mean I should be able to then say that all the lefties should be evicted? I mean, unfortunately,
they're not arguing about their political disposition. It's the way they treat the place.
When I looked at the booth, well, I mean, your political position says a lot about how you treat the place. I mean, when I went and looked at the booth that I voted at on Saturday in Balmain, there were 52 people out of the thousands who walked in there who put One Nation as their first preference. And I think Labor had, 1.3. It was ridiculous. Anyway, my point is, even though you live there, you can't dictate who moves in and out of the area. And the great thing about the beaches in Australia is that we all have access to them. No one owns the beach. No one gets to say that you can and cannot use the beach. I agree that a bunch of these people are obviously louts, and I hate seeing litter, and they ought to be made to pick up the litter. The council can send people down with electric cow prods or something, as far as I'm concerned. Say, pick up your bloody litter. I wouldn't have a problem with that, but you can't say that you're not allowed to go to the beach and have fun on Christmas Day. And I mean, for heaven's sake, you can't even take a beer to the beach on Christmas Day. What a bunch of wowzers. What a nanny state we are if you can't enjoy a beer or a glass of wine or whatever it is on the beach on Christmas Day and have a bit of fun.
But that's sure,
some people carry on a bit, but you can't let the noisy few ruin it for the rest of them. Pick up your litter. Force them to pick up the litter.
And Mac,
but
if
don't
we're
stop
to
and go to
follow
the beach.
your line of reasoning, then we'd have to cancel every single Australia Day fireworks, because you've seen the absolute mountains of rubbish that goes for miles. No one capture. We'd need drone footage to capture the extent of the damage once hundreds of thousands of people have cleared out post the Australia Day fireworks. You wouldn't then be like, oh, well, we're going to shut that down. People, sadly, don't behave as they should, and especially if they're coming to the area, they're not going to be packing their rubbish in a rubbish bag and taking it back home. The council could do a lot more in putting out way more bins, and some of the measures that they propose were actually quite reasonable. But saying no alcohol or trying to reduce the number of people enjoying the beach on a great day like Christmas, that's just downright un-Australian. And keep in mind, Every single area in Sydney, if it's a beautiful one, has to put up with this to a certain extent. There's a street in Kirribilli called McDougall Street, and everyone already knows, if you live in Sydney, what I'm about to say, because it is lined with jacarandas. And every spring it turns into a magical wonderland. And every spring, thousands of people come to McDougall Street. And I feel so sorry for the people who actually live on that beautiful area in Sydney, because they are beset. They're roads that they normally get to park on because it is their road. They are residents there. Those roads are shut down for safety measures, and it is literally beset upon. I waddled down there for some coffee.
And
one
waddled
spring.
would be the operative
waddled,
word here.
toddled, whatever you want to say. Meandered down there, literally breathing room only. It's on the water. It's got a stunning park right there.
Ban 'em.
And people are doing photo shoots.
'em out.
There were girls who had brought costume changes so that they could do several shoots. It was absolute pandemonium. And this is not just a tree-lined street, it's a house-lined street. So those people, and look,
So do you have any
many beautiful areas of Sydney would have to put up with this for different
Exactly.
reasons at different times of the year. And if you've chosen to live in the sacred part
Next
of
to a
Bronte, which is
beach.
absolutely stunning, yes, it is, you're going to have to suck it up on occasion.
This is not a reflex reaction and response. This has been happening for year after year after year.
As does the carnage post-Australia
They've
Day
tried
celebrations,
various things
Matt.
to fix it up. If you had 15,000 people having a massive party in your front yard year after year...
It's not your
and
front yard.
It's the beach.
It's their
It is
front yard
public
where they live.
property.
And who
This is
pays
the
for it?
public.
They're the ones who pay for it.
Well,
Yes,
but
and
by
the
that
council
logic-
would budget for it
By that
every
logic,
single
you-
year.
they
That's
only
their
from the rates
responsibility.
that locals pay. They've
So you
got
only
every
let
right to
people
say
in.
we shouldn't be
That
So
paying
you
is
them.
put a
those
gate
are
on
the
the
rates.
beach and say you can only get to if you show your rate slip. Did you ever see the BBC comedy The League of Gentlemen? Came out in the 90s. Anyway, it's set in this sort of tight-knit town. And in the first episode, this out-of-towner walks into the local general store and they're all up in arms that this out-of-towner's walked in. They say, this is a local shop for local people. And that sounds exactly like what you are suggesting. This is a local beach for local people, and all you
Also
out-of-towners
reminds me of-
be damned. I mean, imagine, you came in from Penrith. How dare you come from Penrith, you great unwashed swine.
When I lived on the Sunshine Coast, at New Year's Eve, they fenced off a major part of the Mooloolaba beach, and you had to pay. It was a small fee to get inside, but it enabled them to keep numbers to a reasonable amount so that they didn't get problems. I don't mind the fence it off and charge an entry
Build a
fee.
wall.
Numbers reasonable.